Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Today, something really different for this channel and quite exciting. I'm going to be attempting to build a medieval stone cross, probably without using any stone or without any skills or any sort of experience. So this is going to be interesting. I don't quite know how this is going to pan out. So a little bit of background story to this video. So last year I went to Dublin with my brother Shane to see a Christian speaker called Jonathan Pajot. So while I was at the event, I met a guy called Oliver, and we had a lot of things in common. We had shared a lot of interests, and we kept in touch. And I've since started working on a project together, which we've been working on for the past 12 months. Now that's kind of related to this video, but I'll talk about that a bit more right at the end of the video because I think it will tie into this quite closely. But from meeting Oliver in the meantime has been basically contacted by, let's just say, someone from the quite high up in a very ancient and old organisation that for now I'm going to keep anonymous, just to make sure I don't tread anyone's toes and keep it very vague. But basically, someone's come to him and commissioned a film. So Oliver has a bit of a history of making short films. So this short film's been commissioned, and part of this short film, one of the scenes, is that it's going to take place around a medieval cross. So it's going to be some ancient saints, basically the early medieval saints, which is who sort of feature in this film. One of the scenes is going to be these early medieval saints around a medieval cross. So Oliver asked me if I would make the stone cross from this scene in the short film, to which I foolishly have said yes. Now I'm in a situation where the film is taking place in about 7 or 8 weeks time from now. I don't have a cross. I don't have a plan, really. I've got a vague idea, but I don't really have a plan. I don't know how to make stone things. I'm probably not definitely using stone. So anyway, we've got about 8 weeks to figure this out. I've decided I'm going to film it because I thought, it's not every day you get asked to make a medieval stone cross. So, don't miss the opportunity to actually turn it into a video of some kind. If this doesn't work, then you won't see this video anyway. But if it does, then you'll see this all the way through to the end. If you're watching this now, then I made some kind of cross. Whether it was good or not, I don't know. Leave that for you to decide. So, here we go. Okay, so what I've got to do at the moment is I need to make a plan. So the first thing I need to know is what material I'm going to use. This is quite a big decision, and I've considered a few things. I tried carving a little bit of polystyrene a few days ago because I thought that'd be nice and easy and light and easy to transport, but then I realised polystyrene is so light that it's actually easy to damage. It's not very strong, and so I'm probably going to struggle with that. So polystyrene's gone out the window. I thought about making it out of plaster or plasterboard and carving it into the surface of that, but it's going to be outside if it gets damp, if it gets wet, and also plaster's pretty easy to damage as well. So I've decided on wood. Now, I don't know how to make things out of wood, so I'm going to have to learn along as we go. So I'm going to make it out of MDF. Speaking to my brother Adam, and he's quite good with sort of construction and materials and that sort of thing. So we decided on MDF, sheets of MDF, because it's going to be easy to carve. Because it doesn't have any grain, so it's quite light. It's just compressed dust basically, and so I'm going to use that to actually make carving this thing a little bit easier. I might regret that decision. I don't know. At the moment, that's what I'm on. So MDF is what I'm going to use, and then I need to decide how I'm going to build it so that it can be transported. It's going to have to be built in 2 parts. So I'm thinking the shaft of the cross is going to be part of it, and then the top of the cross, the actual cross part of the cross, or the head, is going to be a separate part that I can attach and detach. I then have to make a stand for it, so it's going to have to stand up freestanding in the field and be secure enough not to fall and crush any actors. It's also going to have basically the effect of a stone base around it, which I'm going to make out of polystyrene or maybe foam board or PIR or something like that. But I basically need to make it look like stone, like it's sat on a stone basically. So it's going to be a stone cross vertical with a stone base. I'll draw it out for you just so you get an idea of what's in my head at the moment. But that's the plan. Then I'm going to make the actual cross part in panels, the shaft and the actual top, and then the bottom part I'm going to make out of foam, and it's going to have a concealed stand within the foam. Let's get on with it. Top part of the cross. Second section. Bottom section. So these will all sit together. Obviously I'll close these gaps here, but that's how I'm going to make it. These two here will be fixed together as one piece, and this top part will be a second piece. Okay, I'll add sides to them, so they'll have some depth to them. Okay, so it'll kind of be, sorry for the terrible drawing, but I am rushing this down. So it'll kind of be like that, and then obviously you can imagine how this will look with the... Anyway, there you go, something like that. So it's going to be a 3D cross that looks something like this. I'm not going to put you sometimes see it with like a round thing around here, like this circle. That looks terrible, but you know what I mean. Like in a Celtic cross, it's going to kind of be a Celtic era cross, but I'm not going to put that round thing on just because it's going to make it quite difficult, and I'm already pushed for time. I've not got that long to actually do this. So that's going to be the cross, and the base, I'm planning on behind, so these are going to just be a sheet of MDF here, like strips of MDF with some studs behind them. So the studs will be like there, running down the back. It's not going to have a back on it either, so we're only going to see it from one side. So the back's going to be left exposed. So I only need the sides and the front to look good. And then I'm going to decorate this with some sort of decorations of some kind. And then all this will be like a Celtic knot patterns, if you can imagine that. Okay, obviously this is a terrible representation, but then these studs are actually going to extend out at the bottom down here. And then I'm going to try to build some sort of frame that goes around this. And then over the top of this frame is going to be basically this stone that hides it. So it looks like it's just a cross sat on a stone plinth. Okay, so this is basically my design. I've been doing a little bit of work on some Celtic knot patterns. I'll just put a picture up now so you can see them. So that's kind of the design that I've done for one of these panels. I'm going to have two panels, separate panels. And on this one, I want to include some sort of image. So I think I'm going to include this image. So this is an image which comes from the cover of Cuthbert's Gospel. So that was the Gospel which was found with St. Cuthbert in St. Cuthbert's tomb. So we're taking the image off of the front of Cuthbert's Gospel, and we're going to put that somehow into this just to kind of tie the saints to this cross and make it, you know, all relevant to the era of the 7th century. So this is what we're starting with. You'll know sooner or later how close we get to it, but the first thing I need to do is actually draw on this MDF, and then we'll figure out how we're going to carve it. So that's the plan. I don't know how close we're going to get to doing this. This is the most ambitious thing I've ever said I'll do, because it's got a time limit and it actually matters. There's going to be people stood there on the day waiting for the cross to be made, and if it's not there, if there is no cross, then, you know, I'm going to let a lot of people down. So I've got a lot of pressure on. I'm limited in terms of time and space as to when I can do this. I'm going to have to do it outside, so I'm relying on the weather, and I also have to do it around work, so I'm limited with time. So fingers crossed that this doesn't end in tears. Okay, so I finished the first part of it. Here it is. So that's the first panel. You know, it's not perfect, but overall this has gone way better than I thought it would. And it's good enough so that because it's been sprayed with like a stone finish, it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's gonna, you know, it's gonna have a bit of a rough finish to it anyway, because it's gonna be stone. So I'm happy with how it's going so far. The bad news is I've got about 3 weeks left. So I started out with about 8 weeks. I procrastinated a little bit. I've been slowly chipping away at this. Now I'm gonna have no time I've got to build the rest of the cross. This is a 2.5 foot section. That's not going to be enough, the pace I'm currently going at. I'm going to have another 2 of these, and then the cross, like the horizontal part of it. I haven't designed them, and I also haven't started to carve any of those, so I better get a wiggle on, otherwise this is not going to go well. I'm running out of time. I booked time off work to work on this project, to try to get a bit more time at home doing this, but the point is that when I'm actually at home, I need to be doing this. So not bad for a first attempt. Again, not perfect, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with where it's at. Let's just hope I can actually speed up now. And I'm also gonna have to mix the design up a bit, because I can't do this design all the way up. One thing I would do with this, if I could do it again, and I did add these little bits in that you can see there, and there, to try and break up the pattern a bit and try and break that sort of regularity of it. It's a bit too uniform, but I'm hoping that what's going to happen with the next panel is I'll be able to add something a little bit different in it to sort of break it up and break up the sort of regularity of this, because although some of the Celtic knotwork was like that, a lot of it was also quite, you know, a bit more sort of random and had a bit more of a wild sort of nature feel to it, whereas this is a bit too regular and a bit too orderly. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm talking about that, I've got 3 weeks left. Yeah, this is going to actually be very close to whether I can actually get this done. And I don't have a workshop, so I'm doing it outside, so if the weather doesn't play ball, then we're in big trouble. So I'm an idiot. I've just stuck all this down and cut around it with the Stanley knife. But unfortunately, what I didn't think about is that I've not put it in the middle, basically. I made some marks on the paper so that I'd make sure I put it in the center, and I've actually completely forgot about that when I actually went to stick it down. And so now it's way too high. So I can either make the thing uneven or do it again. So I've decided to do it again. Got to be careful when you're doing something like this. You want to check and check again and check again, especially when you get to a point where once you make a mistake, you know, there's not really any turning back. So I'm just doing a little bit of an update here because I'm partway through the second panel. So I don't know if it's picking up the design, but I've done the design in pencil, you can see it. So it's basically the same pattern as before, but it breaks down either side and leaves a gap in the middle and then continues at the bottom. So this design can be found on the cover of St. Cuthbert's Gospel. My plan is now to route out all of this as I did before, and to carve it. I should be a little bit better at it this time, since I've had a bit of practice. And then this part, I'm going to use the router to try to get it to work, but some of these parts are so small, I'm actually afraid that when you're routing out on MDF, if you kind of route both sides of something, sometimes the middle bit just flicks away, which could happen. I don't know what I'll do if that does happen. I haven't thought that far ahead. It's gonna be a real challenge to do this. I've also ordered some proper carving tools because I did have just my chisels, but they're very straight, and I need some gouging tools which have curves and different shapes in them. So we'll see how that goes. Time update, I've got about 2.5 weeks. So this is the second panel. So I'm gonna have to speed this thing up a little bit. Well, we've got to this point where I've basically routed out all of the rough design, and I've used these sort of straight chisels and square chisels to sort of define the lines, especially on the middle squares of the grid pattern. But now I've got to do the curved outsides and the more intricate parts of the design in the middle. I've just ordered and just got a set of gouging chisels. So these are basically more intricate shapes. They're a little bit more curved and they're better for doing all different sort of more intricate designs and less sort of straight lines sort of designs. So it's not the most expensive set. It's probably, I mean, it's about 50 quid for, how many is there? About 12 different chisels on Amazon. So we'll see how they go. But for now, this is going to make things a lot easier, hopefully, if I can learn to use them. Especially because this design is about the most sort of curvy design I could have possibly picked. So we've made it to this stage. This is the final bit of carving. So I've got my router here ready to go. All of the cross is now marked out and all of the cut lines are sort of marked, so I know what I'm cutting, and then it's just going to be the same tedious process of chiseling away with the wood chisel once I've got that sorted out. So we're almost there. You can see that I've raised this up. That's because that's how it's going to be in the end when it comes to the final design. It's going to have a back on it, so it's going to have some depth. But I've had to do this because it's got these two pieces which I'm sure you've just watched as I was chiseling them, but they're basically the side pieces to the overall cross. So I couldn't get a piece of MDF wide enough, or at least couldn't transport it easily enough. So I've done that afterwards. What the plan at this point is to get this bit carved and then trim down the two lower panels because they're a little bit wide at the moment to fit onto this. And then once that's done, it's literally a case of building the sides and then worried about the finish, like the texture. I need to make it seem like stone and then paint it. So here we go. So that's basically the entire face of the cross complete. So I'm thrilled to be at this point, to be honest. So I've got a couple of weeks left before this needs to be done. Actually, most of that I'll be working, so unable to do it. I'm off work for the next 4 days. I've got half a day today, then 3 more days. So by the end of that, I need to have the bulk of this done. So I've got these panels here, which I don't know if you can see, but these are the two face panels at the bottom, and then I've got the cross, which is now all mounted, the actual horizontal part of it, the cross part at the top. That's all now mounted, it's all carved. So what I've got to do now is to give it depth, basically. So I'm not putting a back on it, as I said before. It's only going to be shot from the front and sort of at angles, but what it has got to have is sides, and that's going to be quite challenging. So I'm just going to trim some of these, the top and bottom of these face panels down, just to make sure that the bars between the patterns aren't too sort of consistent. Then I've got to mount the sides, which I'm going to try and get done today. Spray it, so prime it and then spray it. We have to as well try and make it like stone, but I've got a few ideas for that. And then the most important thing that we've got left to do is we've really got to try to, the main thing is trying to get the base to line up with it. So I've also got to do the base. So I've got some PIR sheets to try to get all the base to work together, and hopefully I can paint it all the same and prime it all the same and it looks right. Okay, so one last big push and hopefully we'll have this looking something like a stone cross. Fingers crossed. I'm now about 2 evenings left. I'm back at work. My little break to try and get it done has been and gone. I'm close to being done, but I would say I've still got about 10, somewhere between 5 and 10 hours left of work, which I'm going to have to do in the evenings now. I've probably got about 2 evenings left, and I'll just explain why. So the filming is happening in about a fortnight, so it's just under a week and a half. But I need to get the cross, once it's completed, to the location, the filming location, because it's about an hour and 45 minutes away from where I live. So it's up in Thirsk. So I've got to get everything up there by, how long have we got left? Yeah, in about 3 days' time. So a week before filming. So this is one of the bad days where I'm looking at the whole project and wondering whether I'm actually going to get this done. Yeah, I take full responsibility for the delay because I messed around at the start, sort of, I'll do a little bit here, a little bit there. Really, I should have done the bulk of it to start with and get it as close to as possible, and then I would have had time to sort of put it together at the end and just sort of catch up. So, this sort of project, I'm not doing it for any reason other than the fact that I think it will be cool to do, and it's a real thing I really care about. It's a very meaningful project, and it'd just be great to be involved in it. But I've taken on quite a responsibility in this project, so I'm going to spend the next few evenings just going at it. I'll be building I really need to figure out the way that the base is actually going to come together, because I just have no idea. Hopefully it'll be stable enough, and hopefully it'll look right once it's done, because it's got to be functional, so it's going to have to hold the cross up, and secondly, it's going to actually have to look the part, because it's supposed to be a piece of stone. So if it doesn't look like stone, then I don't know what we're going to do. Whew. I'm praying that things go right. I had some rain the other day, which has been holding me up as well. Obviously, I'm working outside, so if it's raining, I just can't do it. And the weather forecast is a bit iffy looking forward. So if this comes off, it will be a small miracle. But I'm so close. I can see what it's going to look like once it's done. It's just having the actual time and putting in the effort to actually get it there is not quite the same as imagining it finished. So we'll see how it goes. It's really close now. I'm so desperate to get it finished. I'm going to throw everything at it now just to try and get it over the line. Wish me luck. So that's it. The cross has been made, the film's been filmed, and here we are wondering what to do with an 8-foot Anglo-Saxon cross. It has been an absolute journey, and I've absolutely loved it. Some bits of it were tougher than others, but I've really enjoyed the whole process. We've just done filming last weekend with Oliver, and my whole family was involved with the film, so it's been really cool experience for us. So my wife and my 2 kids. Oliver did an amazing job with the film, with organising it with the costumes, and his family, his wife Bonnie as well. It was such a good, very sort of wholesome and positive experience the whole weekend. So thanks to Oliver for obviously inviting me along and challenging me to do the cross, as well as a few other bits. So I've really enjoyed it. It's been amazing. If I take anything away from this, it's probably that it's actually surprising what you can actually do if you put the time and effort into it. This is not something that I thought I'd do, but there we go, I've done it. So I can check that off the list. So that's it. If you made it to the end, well done. I know not many people probably make it this far, but thanks for sticking with it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been the longest video by quite a bit that I've ever actually done, so I'm glad some people made it to the end. So now I've got to show you something that me and Oliver have been working on. So this is, aside from the film, it's slightly linked, but you'll see why it sort of ties into it. But this is something that we've been working on for the past year. I'm going to finish the video with this, so it's going to be just a little trailer for a project we've been working on. That I hope that some of you, especially if you interested in things like Anglo-Saxon history and the saints and mythology and those kind of things, I know it's quite niche, but if you're at all curious, please have a look at what I've put together. So the sort of thing that we've started, we've called Disciples of the Divine Logos. You can actually find the website. I'll put it in the description. If any of you are interested, head on over to our website, have a look at our mailing list and stick your email address on there, and we'll keep you up to date with some of the stuff that we're doing. So thank you for watching the video. If you've never been to this channel before, please do subscribe. It's traditionally been quite plastering based content, but I am planning on branching off a little bit and doing some other stuff, because I do have more than just plastering in my life, surprisingly. Please make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and share it if you know anyone who might be interested in this kind of thing. Okay, so on that note, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Please check out what's at the end of the video. God bless. If the term logos is new to you, it was new to us until a few years ago. This understanding has been lost over the centuries in our part of the world, so we're getting together in person to share and discover this ancient way of seeing, which can help make so much sense of reality, of our lives, and can even reveal the true adventure of existence.
Yeah, we'll be meeting up in some enchanted places around luminous saints from deep within our past. These figures all reflect a life filled with the divine, and they've been right beneath our noses all this time. More than that, we think they're rooted into the very soil we walk upon. Shimmering figures who we know can show us a way out of the confines of our often depressing society and back into a world of re-enchantment.
Figures like Cuthbert, Hilda and St. Oswald just waiting to be rediscovered. To find out more about the Disciples of the Divine Logos community, head on over to our website, subscribe for free, and join us for our monthly Mead and Meaning meetups online. We're doing something truly fresh and different.
Yeah, King Oswald's on the poster. You bring the mead, we'll bring the stories. And soon we'll be meeting up in person in enchanted places across England. We'll be looking at symbolism, holding discussions, have captivating storytelling and meals, all in these mystical locations.
Sign up and don't miss it.